So May 2017 question number 2b. So do we have this question now? Do we have this question? Do we have the question? Do we have the question? Do we have the question? May 2017. Question number 2, boy. May 2017, question number 2, boy. They are not talking to me for reasons not known to me very well. They are not talking to me. Atieno says yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So then straight away, we need to come and read it. Read it. Always you start reading the requirement. So required, they want us to give them the expected profit to be earned from the product over its lifetime. Note Roman 2, it has now been established that the learning effect will continue for all of the 256 batches that will be produced, all of them. So they want us to give them the learning curve required to achieve a lifetime product profit of shillings 10 million, assuming that a constant learning rate applies throughout the product's life cycle. So wanasema Jambo Limited is a multi-product firm. The company intends to launch a new product branded ZP in the coming months. Production will be in batches of 1,000 units throughout the life of the product. It is expected to achieve a 90% learning curve, but the learning would cease after the 64th batch. So learning will only continue up to batch number 64. Thereafter, everything goes flat. Other relevant data of product ZP is as follows. So we have expected life, 256,000 units will be produced over the expected lifetime. Selling price per unit is 123. Direct materials cost per unit is 36. Total direct labor cost for the first batch is 52,500. Variable overhead per unit is 24. Total fixed overhead is given there. The learning index has been given. There for the 90% learning curve. Great. So they want us to give them expected profit to be earned. So ladies and gentlemen, when I'm required to do a profit statement, in light of this circumstance, I know that there will only be one thing that will be quite problematic. Because I've seen there is a learning curve rate given there. It means that getting labor cost will not be a walk in the park. The biggest work in here will be, how do we get labor cost? All the other costs are very easy because they're straight line. But how do we get labor cost? This is the elephant in the room, getting the labor cost, So to get the labor cost, because we are told that there is a learning curve, because we've been told that there is a learning curve, then the first thing I'll do is to come and write there y equals ax raised to power b plus 1. Y equals ax raised to power b plus 1. That is the first thing you do for predicting this. And then I would want to get b. To get b, remember, sometimes the examiner will give you the value of b. But to be on the safer side, we would expect ourselves to remember the equation. So in this case here, b will be equal to who? B will always be equal to, it will be log r over log 2. So have they given us the learning rate? 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 Yes, it is 90%. 90% over log what here? Over log 2. So it is log 0.9 divided by log 2. Log 0.9 divided by log 2. This examiner was a good examiner. He gave me this thing automatically. So is there somebody who is able to prove that whatever we have in the question is what we are able to get from our calculators? What is log 0.9 divided by log 2? Ladies and gentlemen, please help me out here. Log 0.9 divided by log 2, it's minus 0.152. Thank you. Thank you. So the moment I get that, I know the power of privileges. The power here tells me to come and add 1 to b. So it will be minus 0.152 plus 1, which will be equal to who? Which will be equal to who? Minus 0.152 plus 1 will be equal to 0.84. Please remember, Eric, if we are rounding off to 3 decimal places, it has to be consistently 3 decimal places. 848. So it is 0.848. Thank you very much. So it means, ladies and gentlemen, the only thing that I would need is A. So from this question, who is able to read for me the value of A? Is there anybody who is able to read for me the value of A? Value of A from the question. Remember, A has got everything to do with the time taken or the cost, the labor cost of the very first unit. When we began this production process, the very first unit that we produced took us how long? It cost us how much? Actually, if I'm the one doing this, I'll always look at the cost of the first unit. Cost of the first unit. Is there somebody who is able to see from the question what the labor cost of the first unit was? The very first unit we produced. So Atieno tells me it is 52,500. How about the other students? Is there anybody who is able to see this 52,500? 52,500 Kenya shillings, isn't it? 52,500 Kenya shillings. It's 52,500 Kenya shillings. Thank you very much. 52,500 Kenya shillings. Total labor cost. It's a cost. It's a cost. So I'm so lucky because, ladies and gentlemen, these people have even given me, they've made my work very easy. So I know that my Y here will be equal to A which is 52,500 x raised to B plus 1, which is 0.848, like that. Yes, time taken to make the first batch. Time taken to make the first batch, yes. Time taken to make the first batch. But in some cases, they give you the cost of producing the first batch. So in this particular case, our A is the cost of the first batch, the labor cost of the first batch, labor cost of the first batch, labor cost of the first batch. So meaning that whatever I will be getting here as my Y will not be labor time. This will be total labor cost. This will be total labor who? Total labor cost. This will be total labor cost. Thank you. Great. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember here, we produced how many batches? Remember, this is cost per batch. How many batches we produce by the end of the year? Is there somebody who is able to see the number of batches produced? No, Jemima. 1,000, Eric, no. 1,000 are the units making one batch. 1,000 are the units making one batch. Not 64. Not 64. Not 64. Not 64. Not 64. By the end of the year, the number of batches in total, remember the expected production is 256,000, right? Total production. Total production. Total production is 256,000 units. All right. And then we know that one batch from what they have told us equals 1,000 units. So then 256,000 units will be equal to how many batches? If you cross multiply, it will be this times 256,000 divided by 1,000. So it will end up giving me 256 what year? Batches that were produced in the period. 256 batches 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 were produced in the period. But now I appreciate what you guys are telling me. What you're telling me is that as we begin this process, we are not going to run or rather learn forever. We're not going to learn up to 256. No. What they've done, they've told us that learning will continue. Learning will continue up to batch number 64. Up to batch number 64. Up to batch number 64. Beyond which, we straight away hit our Waterloo. No learning anymore. Flat. Flat. So meaning that the learning curve can only be used up to batch number 64. The learning curve can only be used up to batch number what year? Up to batch number 64. The learning curve can only be used up to batch number 64. The learning curve can only be used up to batch number 64. The learning curve can only be used up to batch number. What they've told us in the question, ladies and gentlemen, is quite interesting. They told us in this particular question, if I was to begin reading from the beginning, we are told Jumbo Limited is a multi-product firm. The company intends to launch a new product branded ZP in the coming months. Production will be in batches of 1,000 units throughout the life of the product. It is expected to achieve a 90% learning curve, but the learning would cease after the 64th batch. So meaning that our learning will go straight away to batch number 64. So 64th batch is our batch of stability. So it means, ladies and gentlemen, straight away that we can only use the learning equation up to batch number 64. Therefore, what is the total time? Total time of the stability batch, which is the 64th batch. Very interesting. 64th batch. So to get, I should have used the word total cost, total labor cost of stability, total labor cost of the stability batch, 64th batch, the 64th batch. So then they want me to give them why 64th. Why 64th? Of course, I need to expand this. This needs expansion. So how do I get to expand this? I should say y first something minus y first something. Can somebody in this case here help me expand this? Tell me, I should talk of y first what minus y first what? Please help me out here. And today, if there is any day I would want you to talk to me so seriously, it's today. 64 minus 63. Great. So you're right. So first of all, I'll come and talk of y first 64. I get the total time for all the 64 batches. And then I'll come and say here mine, because I only want for one of these batches, which is the 64th batch. So then it'll be only prudent if I come here and cut out the first 63. So minus y first 63, minus y first 63, minus y first 63. So then, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me very well. So in this case here, y first 64, y first 64, y first 63, I'll come and put my a outside. My a is 52,500. That is my a into the first 64. So x is 64 raised to this 0.848 minus 63 raised to 0.848 like that. Could you kindly give me this answer? So you say 52,500 times, open brackets, we have 64 raised to that, minus 63 raised to that, minus 63 raised to that. So I'm not going to write anything until I see each one of us providing an answer. I'm being given a figure here. They're giving me a figure of 23. I never saw all of you giving me the answers, but I'm getting a figure of 23.6. What here? 88. 23.6, 88. 23.6, 88. 23.6, 88. Is this figure correct? Is this figure correct? Yes. Thank you so much. Now, I would want you to listen to me very well. This is where they are applying the concept of product stratification. They have our product quantity produced being in two strata, in two groups. The two groups, one group being the one where learning is going to occur, and then the other group, there is no learning. The other group, there's no learning. So out of these 256 units, or other batches, the 256 batches, the first 64, we are going to have learning occurring. Here learning occurs, right? And then the balance of how many? Balance will be 256 minus 64. So balance of how many batches? Balance of 192 batches. So 192 batches, no learning. So, and if there is no learning, then automatically we stabilize. Stability to be used. I would want, ladies and gentlemen, here to be very, very, very practical as possible. Assuming today your mwalimu was to be a carpenter, producing tables. I want to believe that the first table that I produce will take me more hours. Perhaps the first table that I'll produce, and of course, even the shape will be wanting, everything about it will be very bad. The very first table, because of inexperience, that table I can see it disturbing me. It may take me even 10 hours. Great. First table, 10 hours. Second table, because of experience now, talk of 8 hours. The third table, talk of say 5 hours. Because the more I produce, the more the experience I get. In this case here, we continue moving like that. Another one, for example, 4 hours. So I'll continue learning and of course, increasing my speed with the subsequent tables that I produce. But now let me ask you a question. Is it possible that I continue learning till I become a superstar? A superstar where I will be saying, let there be a table springs up in 0 hours. In 0 hours, is it possible? Is it possible? It's not possible. So after some time, it means that after some time, I'll be able to stabilize. Perhaps I stabilize on this particular chair, on this particular table, I mean. So if I'm to stabilize on this particular table, what would it mean? That all the subsequent tables will be produced with those 4 hours, 4 hours. 4 hours now becomes the constant reminder, the constant thing throughout. What does that mean? That after we stabilize these 192 batches, each one of them will take the stability cost. Each one of these will take the 23,688 cost. Each one of these, after you've stabilized. After you've stabilized, please help 𝗲𝗍 there. After we have stabilized, each of these will take 23,688. Could you kindly give me an answer here? Could you kindly give me an answer there? 192 times 23,688 gives me what figure, somebody? 192 times 23,688 gives me what figure here? Gives me what figure here? Uh, 454,896. 454,896. 454,896. 454,894. 454,896. 896. So please remember that here we are not doing money markets. Here I would want you guys to be giving me decimals. Here I expect you guys to be giving me decimals. I expect you guys to be giving me decimals. For consistency, we can talk of how many decimals. 2 decimal places for consistency. So even this one here ought to have had some decimal points. Rounding off errors, but we should minimize them by putting up more decimal places. But no problem in the subsequent examples, we can be doing that. We can be doing that. No problem in the subsequent examples, we can be doing that. Then, ladies and gentlemen, how about the first 64? The first 64, there is learning. And if there is learning, it means we use this equation. Y equals 52,500 into x is 64 here, raised to 0.848 like that. Because now there is learning. Where there is learning, then automatically we need to use the equation. Where there is learning, automatically we need to use the equation. Where there is learning, automatically we need to use the equation. Automatically we need to use the equation. Automatically we need to use the equation. So could you kindly give me an answer here? The first 64, we are learning. And if you are learning, you're using the equation. The balance beyond 64, now we are talking of what here? Stability. We are talking of 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 stability. So could you kindly give me an answer here? Kindly give me an answer here. Kindly give me an answer here. Kindly give me an answer here. Kindly give me an answer. Kindly give me an answer. Ah, 1785. 1785. 1785. The year that I was born. 1785. 600. 1785. 1785. That value is interesting. 1785. 664. 664.74. Thank you very much. So then could you kindly give me the total labor cost? Please give me the total labor cost. 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 Total labor cost. Total labor cost. Now you're adding, isn't it? That plus this. Give me the total labor cost. Give me the total labor cost. Give me the total labor cost. Give us the total labor cost. So 633, 760, 633, 760.74. 633, 760.7374. That's okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we know after we have gotten now the labor cost, now the next thing will be for us to do what? To provide an income statement. The next thing will be for us to provide an income statement. The next thing will be for us to provide an income statement. So come here and they give us an income statement. An income statement. So income statement, we have sales. You go by the one given there. There is one given there. So we have sales there. We have material cost. Material cost. Material cost. We have a variable material cost. After material cost, we have labor cost. Labor cost. Labor cost. After labor cost, after labor cost, after labor cost, we have variable overhead cost. We have variable overhead cost, variable overhead cost. After that, we have a fixed cost, specific fixed cost, specific fixed cost, specific fixed cost, specific fixed cost. And then, of course, you should be able now to give us a net profit. So these figures, all of us here, we are accountants. There is nobody who is not an accountant. Income statement, that one you should be able to fix for me very fast, and don't really get timid. Don't think that getting it wrong is bad. No, these wrong things we keep on doing, there are our stepping stones towards what here our success. So just try. Give me what is the total sales figure, what is the total material cost figure, etc. And then you compare notes. How much profit are we getting, my friends? How much profit are we getting, my friends? How much profit are we getting? Is your norma? Is your norma? Because you see, selling price given there is 123, and they have expressly told us. And they have expressly told us what here? They have expressly told us. 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 Yeah, great. They've expressly told us that the selling price is per what here? Is per unit. Is per unit. So meaning that I must multiply the figure given here for selling price. I must take 123. I multiply with not per batch. It's for units. So I multiply this with 256,000 like that. So could you kindly give me a figure here? Niambie sales figure inakuja ngapi? Sales figure inakuja ngapi? Sales figure inakuja ngapi? Sales figure inakuja ngapi? Inakuja 31,488,000. 31,488,000 like that. Yeah, tuende material cost. Material cost wamesema 36 per unit, meaning that I must involve the number of units as well. 256,000 like that. So niambie material cost inakuja ngapi? Material cost inakuja ngapi? 92,16,000. So in 92,16,000 unakuja namna hiyo unangoa. How about labor cost? 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 Labor cost. Can I take in this case that 52,500 per batch? I multiply with the number of batches for labor cost. For labor cost, is that what you would want me to do? For labor cost? For labor cost? No, labor cost already, we have the figure. Labor cost is here. Labor cost is 633,760 point. This one we used learning curves. Labor cost, whenever you hear of learning rate being given, you must use the learning curve concept to get the labor cost. Right, right. Now from ladies and gentlemen, we have the variable overhead cost per unit, very easy. So if it's per unit, I'll take 24 times the total number of units here, which are 256,000. So what is 24 times 256,000? Somebody give me a figure. Somebody give me a figure. 614, 4,000. 614, 4,000. Thank you very much. And then we have the last one, specific fixed cost unit free mark. Unit free mark. Here I'm going to multiply on a unit free mark. 3875. 3875,000. 3875,000. So unangoa uone kama vile Eric Odinga amepata net profit. Ni ya ukweli ama ni ya uongo net profit? Ni ya ukweli ama ni ya uongo net profit? Ni ya ukweli ama ni ya uongo net profit? Net profit itakuja kuwe ngapi? Net profit itakuja kuwe ngapi? Net profit itakuja kuwe ngapi? 59,192. 5919, 5919, 5919. Yep, mwambie Jamie, mnasaidia mwalimu tafadhali, mwambie Jamie tuko question gani? 5919, 239. Wacha kulenga Jamie, 239.26.26. Thank you very much. 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 So, ladies and gentlemen, this question, it's May 2017. May 2017, question number 2B. 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 Hii question kwa exam, ungeipata kweli? Kwa exam, ungeipata ama ungepata? Kwa exam, ukiangalia kwa umbali, ungeipata ama ungekupatia shida? Kwa exam, ungepata ama ungepata? Singepata, part of it, okay. 50%, okay. So most importantly, kwanza ni hapa kwa income statement. Hata mimi nikiulizwa hii stanza hata na hapa. Because nikienda kwa income statement, I'm so sure there will be so many things I'll be able to get kama sales. Sihitaji mambo mengi, hizi. Na nikapata. Nitakosa hii, itapata hii. Namna hiyo. Right, right. Thank you so much. So tuangalie Roman 3 sasa, Roman 2 amen. It has now been established that the learning effect will continue for all the 256 batches that will be produced. Required, the learning curve required to achieve a lifetime product profit of shillings 10 million, assuming that a constant learning rate applies throughout the product's life. It has now been established that the learning effect will continue for all the 256 batches that will be produced. That now this time round, there is nothing like learning ceasing. Learning is going to continue right away from unit 1 all the way to the 256th unit. Right? So now they're asking us a very good, easy question. They want us to give them the learning curve required to achieve a lifetime product profit of 10 million. Could you kindly take a minute here to think through this question? In an exam situation, what would have you written in this question? In this question, just take like 3-4 minutes to think through this, and then you advise. Great. So, is there anybody who can ask Mwalimu here for rights to speak to us so that he or she can tell us that, you know what, Mwalimu, this is what I would have done? Anybody who has got a good idea? Anybody with a very good idea? Anyone with a very good idea? Anyone with a good idea? Anyone with a good idea? Okay, let me tell you what is going to happen then. Let me be the one who is speaking now. You see now, this time round, they want our profit to be earned here to be 10 million. They want our profit to be earned to be 10 million Kenyan shillings. And still, they are talking over how many units in total to be produced? 256,000, the 256 batches. So it means that sales revenue will remain the same. Material cost for the 256,000 will remain the same. What will change will be the labor cost, because now the learning curve is going to change. Yes, thanks, Eric. Yes, the labor cost is going to change for sure. This one must change because now the learning profile is changing. The variable overhead cost, ladies and gentlemen, this will remain the same because you can see it's pegged on 256,000. The same case with the fixed overhead cost. So it means what I'll do is to come and talk of profit is revenue minus cost. So my profit here is 10 million. My profit here is 10 million, which will be equal to revenue that I already have of 314,88,000. I say minus cost, put them into brackets like that. The cost that will remain the same, the is 921,6,000 plus labor cost. I expect a different figure. So I'll let the new labor cost there be X plus 4,000 plus 387,5,000 like that. So I would want you guys to do me a favor. Please do me a favor. This is 10 million equals 314,88,000 minus, could you kindly add these three? 1, 2, 3, those three figures. Please add them up for me. Please add them up for me. Please add them up for me. Those three. Hata kama uelewi, kwanza ziongeze those three. Please add them up for me. Take this plus that. Give me a figure. Give me a figure there. Give me a figure there. Something very interesting. They are telling me that this one here should be 19,235, 19,235,000, like that. Thank you so much. So then what will I do? Very easy, very easy, very easy, very easy, very easy. What I shall do here is a very simple thing. What I shall do here is a very simple thing. This is what I shall do. This is what I shall do. This is what I shall do. So I can even decide to bring this to the other side. So it will be 10 million minus 314,88,000 equals, when I come this side and I try opening brackets, when I open bracket, of course, bracket minus, when minus is outside, minus ni pilipili. Ikiwa nje lazima ita affect. So itabaki minus X, na itakuwa minus 19,235,000. 19,235,000 like that. Aya, abracadabra. I can take a shortcut, I get a shortcut. Ebu nipatieni kwanza inakuja ngapi ukisubtract. Subtract 10 million minus this. What figure are we getting, somebody? 10 million minus this. What figure are we getting there, somebody? 10 million minus that. What figure are we getting there, somebody? Somebody. What figure are we getting there, somebody? Somebody. Aha, minus 21,488,000. Minus 21,488,000. I don't know whether it's all of us who are getting that figure. Yes, equals minus X minus 19,23,5,000. Now we have to have this crossing over. Minus 21,488,000 plus this side is negative, so it has to be a plus. So plus 19,23,5,000 equals minus X. So again, could you kindly combine these two? Please combine those two. Please combine those two. 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 Give me the net figure. Please give me the net figure. Please give me the net figure. 22,53,000. 22,53,000 equals X. So X is 22. Oja. It's going to kuja minus, eh? So it's minus and this one here is minus. So that this minus and minus cancels out, giving me that X is 22,53,000 like that. And then don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, that this really, the X you have gotten there is our total labor cost, is our total labor cost. This X that you have just obtained here is our total labor cost. The X that you have just obtained here is our total labor cost. The X that you have obtained here is our total labor cost. Of which total labor cost in the learning curve language, this should be Y actually. Therefore, Y equals 22,53,000 like that. And we know that Y equals who? We know that Y equals AX raised to B plus 1. All right, now I'm driving it there. So I know that my Y is 22,53,000 equals A. I was given A. I was given A of 52,500. X we know, X is total number of batches, 256 raised to B plus 1, like that. Getting quite interesting, 22,53,000. Thank you very much. Haya, hii nataka nimalize mpaka mwisho alafu nirudie mara moja. What I'll do, I'll come and divide both sides here with 52,500. Divide both sides with 52,500. Haya, abracadabra, what are we getting here? This divided by this, nakuja ngapi? Abracadabra. When you divide this and this, inakuja ngapi? Please nipatie this quotient. Inakuja ngapi when we divide? Abracadabra, don't worry, everything will be okay. So you divide, what are we getting? Somebody is giving a, unfortunately, it's only one student who is 42,914. 42,914 equals 256 raised to B plus 1. Raised to B plus 1. So our role this afternoon is to ascertain the value of B. Our role this afternoon is to ascertain the value of B. When I get the value of B, I'll be so happy. So please make B the subject of the formula. 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 When I look at B very well, I can see B is part of the power. When you have the subject of the formula metric being part of the power, the only way out of bringing it to be part of to be in this case here, the subject matter is to introduce logarithms. So introduce logarithms. So come here and introduce a logarithm of 42.914 equals logarithm of 256 raised to B plus 1, like that. Introduce logarithms. Nisikizeni kidogo, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, nisikizeni kidogo. Kuna kitu mimi hupenda sana hapa. Hii ndio kitu ilinisaidia sana high school, nikajua mathematics sana high school. Hii ndio among those things ambao nilikuwa nang'ara sana kwa high school. Mambo ya logarithms na mambo ya surds. Ladies and gentlemen, listen here. If, for example, you have logarithm 25, could you kindly press for me there? Log 25 equals who? Say logarithm 25. Log 25 from your calculators. Everybody should be able to give me this answer from your calculators. Log 25 equals who? Logarithm 25. Logarithm 25. Atieno gives me 1.3. So it is 1377, really. 1398. So 1398 like that. 1398, Yes, thank you so much. Now I would want you again, please, without becoming tired, I would want you to try this. Log 5 squared, log 5 squared, log 5 squared, log 5 squared. Could you kindly press there, log 5 squared, and tell me whether we are getting this same figure. Tell me whether we are getting this same figure. Log 5 squared is just same, isn't it? Same. And then if you remember these high school mathematics, that these two can be dropped down here without breaking anyone's bone. So it will be 2 log what here? 2 log 5. It will be 2 log 5. 2 log 5. The 2 can be brought down here. So could you kindly try 2 times log 5? and then tell me whether you're getting the same figure again. Tell me whether you're getting the same figure again. Eric has confirmed, Eric has confirmed, Jemima has confirmed, Atieno has confirmed the same. So if that is the case, then come here and tell us log 42.914 equals b plus 1. Of course, this has to be in bracket. Logarithm 256. So what I've done, I've dropped the entire exponent. And because the exponent here has got two unlike terms, I have to put them in brackets here to show that solidarity, right? So now I've been able to drop it down. So you're talking of b plus 1 log 256 like that. Now, could you kindly evaluate? Could you kindly give me this log? What is log 42.914? Is there somebody who can give me an answer? Log 42.914. So according to Jamie, it's 16.326 with a decimal there. Thank you very much. How about log 256? How about logarithm 256? How about logarithm 256? Logarithm 256. Logarithm 256 from your calculators. What are we able to see there? 24,082. 24,082 with a decimal there. With a decimal there. Great. Now, I would want you guys to proceed and give me the value of b now. I would want you guys to proceed till you give me the value of b. So this will be 163.26 equals 2.4082b plus 2.4082 like that. When I spread this inside here, when I spread this inside there, when I spread this inside there. All right. So then we come and put like terms together, take this to the other side. Here, it'll have to become a negative. So it will be 1.6326 minus 2.4082 equals 2.4082b. So is there somebody who can give me this figure when you subtract? When you subtract. According to Helen, Hamala minus 0.3221. It's only Helen who has been able to get that. I would want someone else to confirm. It's good to always get confirmations. Hamala, you got, Jamie has also given me a different figure. So I don't know now which one to work with. I don't know. Seemingly, this 0.7756 is common. Minus 0.7756, I think, is common. Helen, take there 1.6326 minus 2.4082. Or final answer. No. Let us not take shortcuts. Let's not take shortcuts. We don't want shortcuts. We don't want shortcuts, please. No shortcuts. I would want this figure, this minus this. Is it giving me this? This minus this, is it giving me this? Yes, equals 2.4082b, implying that b will be equal to something nice. Implying that b will be equal to something nice. Implying that b will be equal to something nice. Implying that b will be equal to minus 0.7756 over 2.4082, which in this case here, from what Helen and the colleagues gave me, will end up giving us minus 0.322. But remember, when they tell you to get a learning curve, they are telling you to get R. They want you to calculate R. So how do I change this B to R? How do I change this B to R? Somebody, how do I make the change? How do I change B to R? How do I change B? Thank you very much, Atieno. When you mentioned the word antlog, I'm able to really plus 1. No. Remember, Eric, to get B, we normally talk of log R over log 2. So this B is minus 0.322 equals log R over log 2, implying that log R will be equal to minus 0.322 times log 2, like that. So could you kindly multiply this for me? Kindly multiply this for me to enable me get log R. To enable me get log R, please multiply. Multiply these two. Multiply these two and give me an answer. No shortcut. No shortcut. I don't want any shortcut. No shortcut. So I want somebody to give me a multiple of the two. A multiple of the two. What are we able to get there? A multiple of the two. What are we able to get there? A multiple of the two. What are we able to get there? Aha, Abdubba gives me 0.0969, 0.0969 or 96, whatever, minus. But now you see, I do not want log R. I want R alone. So I want R alone. So when I want R alone, the logarithm has to be taken to the other side of the equation. When I want R alone, the logarithm has to cross over. When it crosses over, it changes its code. It changes its color to anti-log. When the logarithm crosses over, goes to the other side, it becomes an anti-log. It becomes an anti-log. So it means automatically that R will be equal to anti-log, will be equal to anti-log of negative 0.0969, like that. So anti-log is not really something that is very hard. What I need to do is to go to my calculator. Where you're seeing the button of log, you should now use shift log. Shift log means anti-log. Shift log, and then you press this number for you to be able to give us our R. Our R will be equal to who? Okay. Eric, at last where we left this thing was here, right? So then we have log R equals this. Eric, you can confirm this times this, right? You'll be able to get negative 0.0969 minus. And then remember, at the end of the day, what you want is R. So this log has to cross over. When it crosses over, it becomes an antilog. So then my R will be equal to antilog of this number. And how do I get antilog? To get antilog, I'll be forced here to say shift logarithm. So shift logarithm, this number, which you guys will be able to get something close to 0.8, which is what here? 80%, which is 80%, 80%, 80%. In an exam, how many marks would have you guys scooped in this question? What percentage would have you scooped in this question in an exam? What percentage would have you scooped? Now they are not talking to me. Ungepata ngapi? Ungepata ngapi? Ungepata ngapi? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Three marks, okay. We shall overcome. Now, in the last class, there are few theories we're supposed to appreciate the learning curves, like, application of the learning curve. Application of the learning curve. I hope you're able to see my screen. Are you able to see my screen? 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 Great, thank you very much. So then when do we get to apply these learning curves? Number one, if the activity is labor intensive, remember if it's machines that are producing, if it's machines which are producing, ladies and gentlemen, machines, learning, machine will always tend to have a constant production time. Ni binadamu akifanya manually, hii kazi anaweza kuwa na learning curve from unit number 1 to unit number 2. The subsequent units will always take what your shorter time because of what you experience. So it's like conditions, like they asked us last time, right? So the activity has to be a manual activity or labor intensive. Number 2, it has to be a repetitive process for each unit. If it's tables, I'm producing tables, and tables. For me to talk over taking advantage of my current learning to improve my future production. Then number 3, the other condition is that the turnover has to be very low. We must be able to stay with workers for them to learn. Learning is about staying with workers. Where there is a high labor turnover, then automatically there'll be no learning there, right? Number 4, remember that as we proceed, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to stabilize in the long term. As an organization, it shall reach a level where you cannot really be able to gain any further, where you can't learn any further. So basically, this learning curve becomes only effective at the very early stages of production. Number 5, there should be no prolonged breaks in OTA in production, just like in the aviation industry. If a pilot takes a 30 days leave, when this pilot comes back, because of that break, he will have to go for a retraining. A retraining, yes. He'll have to go for a retraining like that. So those are very nice conditions. You must know them. Very popular in your exams. So I don't know whether you guys have been able to write them somehow. Have you been able to put down those points in some way? Have you been able to put down those points in some way? It's only one student called Atieno who has said, hey, Mwalimu, we have them. We have them. I can see another chart here. Evelyn, thank you very much. And then now we have cessation of the learning curve. So why do we have these learning curves in this case here, stabilizing very fast, settling very fast, settling very fast, settling very fast? Cessation of the learning curve theory, the steady state, the learning effect will only apply for a certain range of production. Once the steady state is reached, the direct labor hours will not reduce any further. And this will become the basis on which the budget is produced. The steady state occurs when machine efficiency restricts further improvements. So even if you wanted to improve, if there is a machine involved somewhere there, right? Even if yourself, if you want to produce these things at a rate of if there is a machine, for example, for grinding, which is being involved there, machines, yes, can restrict further improvements, yes. Machines have reached the limit of safe running speeds, where if it's, for example, the grinding machine that I've just spoken about, yes, the human beings who are waiting for this processed timber to be able to produce more and more tables as they learn. What if these machines which are doing the grinding have reached their maximum speed, have reached their maximum speed? So then what happens in that particular case, ladies and gentlemen, automatically it means that even the human beings, really, they cannot continue making further what here improvements, right? So there is a limit to human dexterity, right? Remember, dexterity is that skill, this skill of, how do I put it? The skill, this is, ladies and gentlemen, that is the skill that you have, especially when you are doing what you're producing things manually. When you're producing things manually, there is a maximum you can go to, right? So you can call this one a limitation of what here these employees that they cannot really be able to produce beyond some certain extent. Some processes cannot be speeded up anymore, e.g. chemical reaction. New inexperienced staff will replace practiced ones from time to time, slowing things down, very important. Reservations for learning curves, we are told here, consequences of the learning curve. A standard costing system would need to set standard labor times after the learning curve had reached a plateau. After the learning curve reaches a plateau, and we've said, for instance, that it is the labor cost of the 64th batch that will be used. Everything of the 64th batch will be put under what we call a standard cost card. A budget will need to incorporate a learning cost factor until the plateau is reached. A budgetary control system incorporating labor variances, and this is now where I'm going to. Incorporating labor variances will have to make allowances for the anticipated what year? Time changes. All right. Number 4, identification of the learning curve will permit the company to better plan its marketing, work scheduling, recruitment, and material acquisition activities. The decline in labor costs will have to be considered when estimating the overhead apportionment rate. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me very well. As the employees gain experience, they are more likely to reduce what year material wastage. So when you talk of these consequences of the learning curve theory, what points are we not supposed to forget? You know, most of these things you really forget them, ladies and gentlemen, but you see there are others that you can never forget, the consequences. Why as an organization do we need these learning curve? What are the consequences really? What are the consequences? We are saying, ladies and gentlemen, that the first consequence is that I will be able to, the farm will become more efficient. Our farm will become more efficient because of what here? Because of the variances being computed. The variance, especially labor. The labor variances, you know, labor costing becomes a very serious thing whenever it comes to what here? Learning curves. So in this case, ladies and gentlemen, labor, we had anticipated to incur this much in terms of labor cost, and we have incurred something different. So when we are studying these labor variances, then the organization will become what here? Will become more efficient. Very important. Ladies and gentlemen, still connected to this, that this concept of labor learning curves will help us in terms of what here? Development of the standard cost. Development of what here? The standard cost, which basically will be the cost at stabilization. Cost at what year? At stabilization, which is very important because it is out of standard costing, ladies and gentlemen, that we are able to do what year? That we are able to calculate variances. Ladies and gentlemen, also remember that these learning curves, the other impact is that they will be very much applicable in bidding, while bidding or pricing of competitive tenders, then automatically, ladies and gentlemen, you will need these learning curves to be incorporated really. Why? Assuming in this case here, you are to get very serious investors like they are Tour brothers. So they are Tour brothers, they give you a job of producing 1,000 houses. They're asking you to provide a quote first. You see, when you're going to make 1,000 identical houses, then at the end of the day, you will enjoy quite a lot, massively. Out of what here? Massively out of the learning curve. The first house will take you longer to produce because you're inexperienced. But you see, as you continue, the 5th house, the 6th house. So all that experience, all that benefit you're going to get out of learning, ladies and gentlemen, then you'll need to come and incorporate this in your price for you to be able to provide a reasonably priced project to win the tender, to win the tender, to win the tender, to win the tender. So at least these three. Always, whenever you're asked, ladies and gentlemen, here to give us applications of learning curves, always remember things like pricing. Remember things like what here? Work scheduling, planning for jobs. Because through labor, ladies and gentlemen, labor costing, you'll be able to know that this particular job will take this number of hours. Let me schedule like this. Let me schedule it like that. So it will be very, very important, very important. It's also used, of course, for what here? For budgeting. You can also put this as an independent point, budgeting, etc., 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 etc. And then these things keep on repeating themselves. If, for example, you go and get an examiner asking you about the learning curve limitations. Let me go back to where we were. Learning curve limitations. If you get in this case here, somebody who comes and asks you, for example, to provide the limitations of what here? Learning curves, disadvantages of learning curves, limitations of learning curves. Listen to me even before we read. I will be able to give you very many disadvantages, very many limitations. Number one, we know that these learning curves do not work seamlessly throughout. Learning curves will have to stabilize after some time. So then why should we invest in something knowing that after some time we're going to hit a plateau and we may not need the model, right? That's very important. But this particular model you would want us to buy called learning curves, model for predicting labor time, labor cost. I may not use it forever. Number two, it assumes that all the jobs being worked out are labor intensive. They are manual jobs. And we know that most organizations nowadays are running away from manual jobs. People are adopting what here? Machines. This particular model also makes a very bad assumption that we shall be having the same group of individuals working on these manual jobs throughout. What do you know about organizations? It is only change that is what here? Constant. Things must change. Today I'm in this college, another day I'll be in another college. So when I'm being replaced, the person who will come to replace me, of course, will start his learning from up there. The other assumption or limitation of this is that it assumes that there are no breakdowns, that there are no employees who are taking leaves. It's not possible, right? So anytime they ask you, those points keep on, in this case here, popping up. So long as you've got an idea, you can easily end up getting so many marks there. You can easily end up getting so many marks there, right? So like now the learning curve theory limitations, what they're telling us here is that the stable conditions necessary for the learning curve take place may not be present. Unplanned changes in production techniques or labor turnover will cause problems and affect the learning rate. The employees need to be motivated, agree to the plan, and keep to the learning schedule. These assumptions may not hold. Number three, accurate and appropriate learning curve data may be difficult to estimate. Yes. How do you get R? Inaccuracy in estimating the initial labor requirements for the first unit. I mean, there's an assumption of A, right? Inaccuracy in estimating the output required before reaching a steady state time rate. It assumes a constant rate learning factor. You can still add these points to whatever points you have discussed there. Very, very important points. So please, once you finish writing this, let me know. So remember, nowadays, in terms of theory, what matters most is how are you able to defend your case? And most importantly, you should never leave any question untouched. All stones must be turned. All stones must be turned. So I can see the charts here. Yes, thanks, Eric. Like variation in labor rates, yes, that I'll give you a mark. I've seen this in very many books. When you are doing labor costing, of course, we expect variances. We expect variances. So are you through with this? Are you through with this? Are you through with this? So what I'll never forget about these disadvantages, limitations. Number one, we are making an assumption that the time taken to produce the first unit is known in advance. There are very many companies that don't keep records. There are very many companies, if you ask them how long it took them to make the very first unit, they'll tell you no. They don't know. It assumes in this case that R is known in advance and is going to remain constant. It assumes that all jobs are what here are manual, right? Labor intensive, which is not the case. It assumes that the jobs are what here repetitive, which is wrong. I mean, even if it's a carpenter, this guy will do chairs today, tomorrow he'll do something different, etc., etc., etc. And that is how things work, really, right? That you can't assume that these employees will keep on learning forever, and yet, after some time, they'll become demotivated. Even with the prior learning, they may not even be able to produce at optimal. At optimal. So you have got so many things in this case that you can discuss. Yes, 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 yes. I normally do this. I'll be able to share the PDF. Yes, yes. Okay, they are not mentioning whether they have finished at least taking high level, because I'll also be sharing this with you. I would just have loved to know whether you have been able to take in something, however small. Great, great. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I would want us to do for the remaining time. Just a minute for the remaining time. What do I want us to do for the remaining time? A minute. It's loading. Give it 1 minute. Great. It's there. Great. So like these ACCA questions, you will simply need to do like 3 of them, 3 or 2 questions on variances, and you're done. We just not variance but learning curves, and you're done. And these guys lift. I'll be able to show you like the question that you've just done here. 55, 56, question 55. Question 55. Great. Okay, let's start with this. Let's start with this question here. So this question here, 56, they're telling us Henry Company provides skilled labor to the building trade. They have recently been asked by a builder to bid for a kitchen fitting contract for a new development of 600 identical apartments. HC has not worked for this builder before. Cost information for the new contract is as follows. Labor for the contract is available. HC expects that the first kitchen will take 24 man-hours. So that is A, to fit, but thereafter time taken will be subject to 95% learning rate. After 200 kitchens are fitted, the learning rate will stop and the time taken for the 200th kitchen will be the time taken for all the remaining kitchens. Labor cost is $15 per hour. Right? So they want us to calculate the total cost, including all overheads for HC that it can use as a basis of the bid for the new apartment. What I want us to do for today is just to determine the labor cost. The labor cost in this question. To get the labor cost is fairly straightforward. Remember what they have done. They have given us the A, they have given us the B, right? So I can easily estimate the labor, time, and the labor rate is also given. So I would want us to get the labor cost. So I'm giving you how many minutes? 10 minutes only, 10 minutes. Give me the labor cost. Try your best. This one we should be able to nail it down. The page is shown here, 69, page 69. Thanks for asking. So is there anybody who has been able to give us this labor cost? Labor cost. Anybody who has been able to get the labor cost? Perhaps you could do it together. So you see, let's do it together. You see what they have done? They've given us A. I'm so sure everybody must have seen A. I'm so sure everybody must have seen A. I'm 100% sure that everybody must have seen A. Everybody must have seen A. Ah, Doreen has a figure. Let's see. So amesema A, the time taken to make the first kitchen ni ngapi? The time taken to make the first kitchen ni ngapi? Time taken to make the first kitchen umesema 24. Thank you very much. Now umetupatia R. Umesema R ni 90%. R umesema R ni ngapi? The learning rate 95%. So 95%. So meaning automatically that our B will be log R divided by log 2. So log R, this will be log of 0.95 divided by log what here divided by log 2. Log 0.95 divided by log 2, which will end up giving us what figure? Somebody here? I'm so sure you have these figures now. I'm so sure, okay, you may not have gotten 100%, but right now where we have reached, you should be able to get most of the marks. Yeah, minus 0.074. So this is minus 0.074. So then come and give us B plus 1. So this will be minus 0.074 plus 1, which gave you guys what here? 0.926. Thank you very much. 0.926. But now remember that we are supposed to talk of y equals ax raised to b plus 1. So my y will be equal to a is 24, x raised to 0.926. And then now we have the time of stability. This time around, this 24 is time. So time of stability. Remember, the entire contract is a contract over how many kitchens? 600. But we're not going to learn up to the 600th unit. 600 unit. We are going to learn up to the 200th unit. That's what they told us. They told us that we shall stabilize after the 200th unit. Is what they told us. Here. Is what they told us. That labor cost for the contract is available. HC expects that the first kitchen will take 24 man-hours to fit, but thereafter the time taken will be subject to 95% learning rate. After 200 kitchens are fitted, the learning rate will stop, and the time for the 200 kitchen will be the time for the remaining kitchens like that. Great. So in this case here, come and give us the time of stability. So time of stability is the time of the 200 kitchens. 200th kitchen, I mean. Haya. Kwa hivyo sasa nasema hapa y 200th. So this will be y first 200 minus y first 199. Haya, tuweke 24 nje. So sema 24 into 200 raised to 0.926 minus 199 raised to 0.926. I'm so sure you must have gotten this correctly. Mlipata ngapi somebody? 24 times, open brackets, 200 raised to this, minus 199 raised to that. Aha, wanasema ni 15.01, 15.01 hours, 15.01 hours, 15.01 hours. Thank you very much. So now come, this is where they are subdividing the group. They're giving us strata. So we have in total 600 kitchens. But now out of the 600 kitchens, 200 LC will be used. LC means learning curve. And then the balance is 400. This is stability throughout. So each one of them here at stability will be 15.01 hours. So then this one here will give us what here? Somebody 400 times 15.01. 400 times 15.01 will give us what? Somebody here. 400 times 15.01 will give us what figure at the end of the day? Please hurry up. Our next class has started actually. nipatie figure haraka haraka. Mnasema ni 6004, right? 6004. How about these two? Hapa tumia learning curve. Learning curve ni 24 times x. X which is 200. 200 raised to 0.926. Raised to 0.926. Itakuja ngapi? Haraka haraka, tumechelewa. Tumechelewa oye. 24 times 200. Okay, whatever you will get here, utakuja uongeze hapa upate total time. Now once you've gotten total time, of course this will be number in terms of number of hours times the rate per hour, times the rate per hour, times the rate per hour. Thank you very much. Let's meet in the next class. Bye-bye. Bye.